8:08. That's the time on the clock in the studios of Q95 FM radio. It is Monday, the 28th day of September, the last Monday in the month of September. Reaching out to say good evening to one and all. If you're home in the comfort of your bed already, hope we can keep you awake until 10 p.m. If you're in the kitchen preparing for tomorrow, work and school, good evening to you. If you're driving, some people listen sometimes while they're driving. We thank you for joining us, wherever you are, whatever you're up to. Thank you for choosing the In the Spotlight radio show. It is a rainy day in Dominica. In fact, I just heard about a flood warning that is in effect until 12 p.m. tomorrow, Tuesday. So be careful, and as usual, take all the necessary precautions. Last week, Monday, we had Mrs. Jennifer White in the spotlight. And what a wonderful program that was. Again, thank you to all the partners who came on board and supported the program and the gifts as we celebrated her birthday. Thank you as always to Q95 for allowing us the platform to do this program. Thank you to the listeners, all those of you who tune in from far and wide, from near and far. Those who tune in via the Facebook Live. Good evening to you, Jennifer. Jennifer and Fidel says you're looking like a fawn. I don't know what that look is, but good evening to you. And all those who are tuned in via the Facebook Live. Thank you to Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited for our water. Thank you to GK Jordan Jerome for his support. Thank you to Innovate Multimedia for preparing our flyer. And thank you to you as well, as I said, for this program. I have many anonymous supporters who support in whatever way, I just, say something and they're ready to go. You guys are special. Thank you so much for your support as well. As we welcome tonight on the In the Spotlight radio show, my guest, my friend, my former boss, what else can I say about this guy? My confidant. We've had some very deep conversations about life, about work, about anything that I needed to talk about. This guy would always be willing to listen and to share some advice as well. His name is Kareem Guiste, and he is my guest in the spotlight tonight. Let's say good evening to Kareem.
Good evening, Ferdina, and to the listeners of In the Spotlight. Happy to be on with you tonight.
It is my absolute pleasure. Thank you for accepting my invitation. I extended that invitation to you, Kareem, and you, with no hesitation, said yes. So I'm happy that you consented to that, and I'm happy that you are here, because I think what you have to share tonight is going to be very important, especially to young people. I think it's going to be important to some persons who may be indecisive at this time about going a particular route, and I think overall your presence here is going to have an effect on all the listeners who are tuned into the program. So let me allow you the opportunity to say good evening to everyone who's tuned in to the program via our various mediums.
Thanks again, Ferdina, for inviting me to the program. You said without hesitation, and I think it's because of our past.
Yes.
Because as you know, I'm not particularly always happy to jump onto the public space. I'm more of a private guy. But when you asked me to join you on the program, I felt it was twofold. One, a good opportunity to share with you,
Yes.
and to help you continue to build your brand within the spotlight, and also an opportunity to I guess, share my thoughts on the various areas that we will talk about. Of course, we will not spill a lot of the beans, but you know, sometimes when you do get an opportunity to share and to support, you know, various industries throughout where you have contributed, I think it's good to say yes, and you know, you have the ability to help people through that way, and I'm just looking forward to, you know, sharing my knowledge, sharing the experience with you for them throughout this conversation. And let's hope that at least in years to come there might be some skill set or some strategy that I may share that will help someone to go further.
Absolutely, Kareem. And while you're here, before we get into the meat of the matter, I would like to thank you and your Atlantic Farms, which we will talk about more later in the program, for your contribution to Mrs. White last week on the program. She was so grateful for all the wonderful gifts that she received, and I think that, you know, you giving a voucher of, you know, whatever it is you produce at Atlantic Farms, I think meant a lot to her. I know she's been reaching out to all the sponsors. Did she reach out to you?
In fact, I was about to say, she did call me. We had a nice chat on Friday last week to one thank me. She didn't know who I was initially, but then we connected, and she, obviously my aunt Jonah is a very good friend of hers. And then she said, oh, you're Ronnie's son. And then immediately we had a further conversation.
Oh, wow.
So we agreed that at some point we will meet physically and have another chat. Okay. She was very happy, and you know, she thanked you again through me and everything else. It was good. Yeah, I feel happy, you know, about it.
And you know, when she told me I need everybody's number so I could reach out to them, I had to send them to her and say, okay, this was this gift and this was this gift and this person. And Dexter of Prime Water told me she's reached out, and then look, you're now confirming that she's reached out. I think that says a lot about the person, the individual that she is, you know, taking the time out to do that.
And you did a good job. The reality is, when we were speaking about something else, and we said, okay, by the way, this is going on, and I'll jump in. You know, I know it's not every day someone reaches that milestone, and I think it was a great opportunity, and it was timely for her to be a part of the program, and you know, to share with her what we do at Atlantic. I think was good for us as well. So thank you for the opportunity. It was a marketing and advertising opportunity, and I didn't say no to that.
Yes, you would never.
And definitely, she was quite happy. So again, as mentioned, we'll connect and she'll decide what she wants to redeem from that voucher. Yeah.
Thank you again, Kareem. And what are you hoping to achieve at the end of this program here tonight?
You know, it's an open conversation. I don't think I came with any set objectives. I want us to have an open conversation about entrepreneurship. I think this is a big topic here in Dominica at this point for several reasons. One, you do have an opportunity with the challenges of COVID-19. A lot more persons are looking to diversify their careers, simply because it's no longer business as usual, but business unusual. And the reality is a harsh reality that if we're not equipped for what is going to happen in the next few months, based on what we have seen happen in the last few months, then I need to ask ourselves, you know, are we on the right path? Are we not? And are we willing to take a leap, you know, a leap of faith or a leap of guts, however you want to look at it? Both are good, and I think I want to just encourage everyone, both young and old, to take these challenges as opportunities, because that's what I think. That's what I think is hitting us in the face. If we were not ready to turn the page, I think now is the right time to be kinder, to be more loving, to be more embracing, to be more together. I was on a previous program for Ferdina, which you and I spoke about. You know, I raised a point where I said I think our communities have lost the we and have gone to the I, and I think a lot of that is happening or has happened, and I think if nothing at all that comes out from the challenges faced with COVID, I think it has to be one component of society becoming more of a we unit as opposed to I. And there are several reasons why people are feeling that they may not want to be in this we thing, but I think this is the only way I think Dominica, one, can move forward as a small island developing state, one. Two, in order for young persons to grow. All of the great successes that we have seen across the globe is as a result of one, having a resource you could tap into, or having a network that you could call onto, or having access to individuals who have the ability to help you. So I don't know being, having a thought of, and I will do it alone will work. And as we grow throughout even our times at Cape and Wireless, obviously teamship is a big thing, and I've always said that we need to work together, because working alone really doesn't help us to row the boat.
That is so important, Kareem. So you're saying here that we need to move away from being individualistic and selfish, and move to being unselfish and more cohesive.
Yeah, and so then I think, just through growing up in Dominica, which is, I'm always happy that I grew up on a small island, to be honest, because I would have, you travel the world for work, you travel the world for school, and you have gone through various countries and communities and islands, and you have seen various cultures. And when you look back to the Dominica, you said, boy, you're really happy you had this upbringing. And it was very simple, that there were a lot more community activities, there were a lot more persons focused on discipline, helping each other to grow.
There was a good spirit.
Yeah, people coming together to work together. And I'm not saying that is what is going to allow you to be, perfectly successful, if you look at it that way. But what it does, it helps you to grow with some form of discipline, some form of more respect, some understanding of who your neighbors are and what help your neighbors need. Sometimes it's not a matter of the neighbor asking you for help, but sometimes you need to just put your hand out and say, hey, I realize that you're going through this. Here is some support. Let us help each other. As you rightfully said, you mentioned that we have had these conversations, and sometimes we would speak for hours to them. We do it because we did it because, one, you felt some type of trust that existed among us, and you only found that trust because you felt over the time that we had spent together, you could have confided. I don't know that the Dominica today is reminiscence of that type of a trust and confidence anymore, and I'll be very open about it. I say to my friends every day, we have a bit of a close circle, and you just feel like there are so many negative thoughts around the space that you really ask yourself, boy, should you just get up and leave, and leave everything behind, because you think you put in so much effort, and you're hoping to get the support where you think it should come from, but you're really not getting that support, and you feel that negative vibe. And I think we need to move away from that. If we're intending for young persons to be successful, and if we want young millionaires, as we always see in our country, and why not try to aspire to be a young millionaire? Why not? Right? I think a lot of times, people say, boy, I'd like to be X, and somebody says, well, you're thinking big. Okay, so sorry. What else should I think? You get my point for that.
Of course.
And you know me for that, I'm very direct, right?
Yes, I know that.
and it's not, it's not about people thinking you're pompous or you're thinking you're full of yourself. I think you need to have confidence. If as a young individual you're unable to show confidence to your peers, then how then as a unit are we going to continue to help each other? There must be someone who is going to have that guts and show that theory and say, boy, I'm going to jump off that cliff to dive in the ocean because I trust that it is deep enough to keep me alive, right? And it's simple thoughts like that you wonder, boy, can you really get everything that you need out of Dominica? And I've asked myself the question today because we have spoken. I could have decided to move on.
Yep.
And I did move on. I did move on. I came back, and the point is that I can now. And sometimes you really get the urge. And you tell yourself, boy, why am I here? Why am I even going through this? Right? So I'm going through this. I call it the 1 year journey of leaving the corporate space and becoming myself within this business. Discovering the entrepreneurship world truly from someone who has grown organically and grown through education and grown through the career discipline, and now you're going to now take that what you have learned, not just the theory. The theory is great. You read, you understand. Practical is important for me, and sometimes I always argue with my friends because they're brilliant guys, and they talk about the theory, and we all went to school, so we all know the theory. And I always say, yeah, we know the theory. People always say, okay, you're quick to rush. I say, no, but we know the theory. Practical. So this is the test of practical. And sometimes what you learn in the book is exactly not what you're going to see in front of you tomorrow. And I don't know that going off to school and learning and becoming educated, if you mean professionally educated, is the only factor that is going to enable you to become a song professional, or is the only factor that's going to enable you to become a great entrepreneur? No. You need to fall down. You need to make mistakes. You need to realize, oh boy, the book did say that if we turn left, we would have seen that green light. Oh boy, I did turn left, but there's a red light. Where do I go from here?
Correct.
How do I make a determination that, yes, the theory did say to go left, but I'm going to take a right turn? And it takes guts. It takes guts, Ferdina. And I think we need to build people up. We need to trust in the instincts of some of these young persons and give them the opportunity to fail. And I say give the opportunity to fail in such a way that you need to allow them to one day realize, whoa, I actually took that decision. It wasn't the outcome that I wanted, but I learned something from it. But you failed. And that's okay. And it's okay to fail for them. And I think, and that is what I do not see enough of within our small our Green Mountains. I don't see enough of people being accepted if they were to fail. And they don't walk out of their homes today and say, I'm going to fail. They walk out of their home thinking, boy, I want to be successful today. But through that process, there were some challenges. And through that process, there was some stumbling blocks. And yes, you'll say, boy, you didn't make it today. But they have learned something, whilst they on that journey, and they realize, okay, I now know how I'm going to overcome that obstacle. But they need support. Someone has to be there to say, can I just hold your hand and help you walk across that street? Because you may not be seeing what I am seeing. And I don't think there is enough of that for that. And we have had the conversation.
Yes,
don't see enough.
We've had. I just want to go back to something you mentioned. You used the word pompous earlier on. And that brings me back to an interview that I did right here with Daryl Bob.
Okay,
And Daryl Bob, when he came on, we spoke about the difference between arrogance and confidence.
Right.
And he used the word pompous here this evening, Kareem. And I suspect there is a similarity between how Daryl Bob explained the difference. Because for him, people maybe still do believe, even after the program, that he's pompous and he's arrogant. And they may feel the same way about you to a certain extent as well. How do you differentiate between someone being considered as being pompous or arrogant and the reality that the person is just confident?
I think the differentiator is humility. If we use one word to describe it. And for then you're quite right. I think throughout this journey of growing into becoming an individual, and obviously as an individual means you have gone through a career, you have gone through various experiences. Again, it comes back to the society. It is the lack of embracing success. The lack of embracing success causes people to think that you feel you're more than others, and you're not. You're actually being happy that you have fulfilled some type of journey, and that you want to now empower others. And you may do it in several ways, so there is a misconception, rightfully so.
Well, I can tell you there is. I know you.
But then I think humility, and I think if you can,
guy ever.
but if you can look at that individual and understand how humble he or she is throughout their daily lives, and I think in order for you to get that, you need to know the person, you need to understand them, you need to be in this space with them. And I'll tell you, you can't just make a judgment call on someone by just looking at them once. You haven't had the opportunity to talk with, and you haven't had the opportunity to mingle with, and have a drink with, and sit in the casual setting that causes that person to be at I would say the most relaxed state. And if you do not understand that, who are you to judge anyone? So in that regard, I think if someone were to ask me, boy, how do I possibly help myself, maybe one, not get into the trap of calling out someone who may show great confidence rather, I would say understand the individual for who he or she is, and let's not run quickly to make judgment calls. And if you are a confident person and people feel that you're arrogant, I'd say, boy, continue the confidence.
That's right.
Because tomorrow people aren't going to respect you simply because they're saying like, whoa, I really thought you were maybe a bit more solid in your thoughts and in your but no, what you did because the person felt confident one day and you broke their back because you say, boy, I don't want to come across as arrogant. You know, no, you're not arrogant. If somebody asks you a question, you just answer them as firmly as you should, with respect. And if you're in the workplace and you were asked to give some advice and, you know, because you're an expert and you are asked, you give the answer that you think is the right answer. And you have to bring confidence in it, because I'm not going to ask you a question and you're going to say, well, I think that could be the answer. No, what is the answer? You know, and I see this in Dominica.
I see it much.
I see it for that.
Very much.
But you have to be a strong individual to ignore it, right? You just ignore it and you move on, and you know within yourselves, who am I? And I think that's if you can answer that question. If you're unable to answer the question, then I think you have a little bit more stuff to deal with, alright? You're still becoming to know the individual that you are. But I think we need to embrace all people to show more confidence in themselves. A lot of people do not have that confidence. I see it. You talk and say, well, boy, I'm scared to do that, you know, because what if somebody say, what would they not say? For example, I was speaking with 2 young people 4 weeks ago who wanted to kick off with the business. I said, boy, if I go to the bank, you know, the bank might turn me down. Because, you know, I said, well, the way you're talking to me, the bank will turn me down. But it is best to go to the bank with confidence, and you will turn down, but you did give your best. You understand? I mean, we'll talk about the other challenges that we find in financing and businesses, right? But I think by and large, we need to embrace people, and as we started, we support each other, and there is a lack of that type of supporting cast. No, that's what, and I'm speaking here for Diana Asker. I'm seeing it, and I'm telling you how it is. Somebody might disagree and say, well, I don't think so. I think there's a wee vibe going on. No.
Kareem, you're below. You're still under 40.
I'm still under 40. Yes. Luckily.
But I'm quite impressed with how wise you are. Clearly beyond your years. You are deep. You are intelligent, and I'm saying those things to you sincerely.
Yeah.
From the perspective of someone who has worked with you.
Yeah.
From the perspective of someone whom you've been their supervisor.
Correct, yeah.
From the perspective of someone who's interacted with you socially.
Yeah.
Because we've done all of that.
Absolutely.
From the perspective, but I really think you are a great person in my view, and I think that you've achieved so much, and there's still much to achieve. Let us talk about the person and the background. Can you speak Creole?
I can, and do not embarrass me.
No, I am not going to, but I know, ever so often, listen to what Kareem does sometimes, guys. Sometimes Kareem will send me a little WhatsApp message with a Creole too. A little Creole phrase, but there's 1 or 2 you can say, Kareem.
Yes, let's be careful.
You can say bonjour.
Bonjour. And if you ask me, you say Kareem, how are you? I say Mwela.
Mwela.
You know, and sometimes I'll speak Creole out of context.
But the point is that though, you want to learn it.
Yeah.
You want to learn it.
Yeah, like,
you were probably not exposed to it prior to, but you want to learn it. And something else I will share with them is that you are a big, huge fan of Midnight Groovers.
Yes, #1 fan, I think.
Sometimes I would just get a message with some of Midnight Groovers videos from Kareem. Kareem loves Midnight Groovers. During World Fair Music Festival, Creole in the Park.
Yes.
Let me tell you, just give Kareem room.
I look forward.
Yes, he loves Midnight Groovers. But Kareem, let's learn a bit more about you personally.
Where do I start for that? I think, I guess upbringing. So, I have both a Roseau and Margaret upbringing, right? So my mom is from Margaret, my dad is from Roseau, Virginia to be exact. And I was born in Portisville.
You are?
I remember myself as a baby in Portisville, yeah, right. So we're getting there.
So Kareem, I'm letting that from the first time.
Yeah, so my mom is from Margaret, my dad is from Virginia to be exact. I was born in Portisville, and obviously we lived throughout Roseau. So we lived in Bath Estate. So Bath Estate for quite a while. I did common entrance in Canefield, so then we moved to Canefield, which is where we spent the balance of our teenage lives. My 2 sisters, myself, and I had a Hillsborough Street life. I'll tell you why. My 2 aunts, one who died recently, who lived at 71 Hillsborough Street, directly opposite the church, which now houses Big Edge Financial, and used to once house the Medicus, correct? So that building is owned by my uncle. So there was a small shop at the base of the building and our house upstairs. So my aunt who just died was the proprietor of the shop. And so obviously during the afternoon times when we would have waited for our parents, that's where we would have stayed. So once we left school, I went to the Rosa Boys School.
Okay.
So let me go way back. I did the Rosa Mix School when it was housed in Pong. Okay. Right? It was on Cork Street, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did the Rosa Mix School when we then moved to the Botanical Gardens, right? And then Rosa Boys School, which was bordered with Rosaville School at the Old Health Center, yeah, on Bath Road. So obviously my afternoons were Windsor Park. That's where I lived to play football, that's where I lived to play basketball. Literally in the old Windsor Park, which is what they call the Mecca of sports in Dominica, right? And if you didn't have a Rose upbringing in the Windsor Park, then you had no upbringing at all. but Ferdina, so from an early childhood growth, I had a combination of experiences. So when people say, well, you know, when somebody say, well, I'm from Rosa, I say, well, I'm also from Rosa. I say, no, you're American, but I say, actually, I'm more from Rosa than Americans, right? The Margaret roots then obviously, since mom is from Margaret, every weekend we will be Margaret. Okay. My early summers were spent in Margaret. Mm-hmm. So some persons say, oh, you're from Margaret. But the thing is that based on where our home is in Margaret, is at the start of the village. So most times I would not venture on my own just to the village. So we would have to walk to church, which was at least 45 minutes to an hour every Sunday.
One way?
Yeah, every Sunday without fail, you're up to go to church in Margaret. And I'm sure my mom is laughing now. And you couldn't say you're not going to church. You know, that's a no, right? And then we'd walk to the river. Those times we didn't have running water, even when I was a boy, right? So I look forward to enjoying going to the river. There was between our home and the river, Pigwa Bay, if you may, there was a spout. So you would get drinking water, and the boys in the family had to collect the water. So
you had to carry a jerry can.
Jerry can. Well, jerry can and pails. You're a young boy. Then during the summer, again, as a boy, my sister always was the one in Margaret, nice and dandy.
Oh my goodness.
He was always red, right? So Kayla was still younger. And obviously for Diana, I had to walk, again, maybe 2 hours to the garden with my grandma. Because we had a garden, I would say now, in Concord. So we had to walk from Hilltop Margaret, if you know where the old Big Wabi was, to Concord. Back and forth every day, full summer. So there's discipline. Right? So there's the upbringing, there's the kind of an early childhood. And then people ask, okay, how do you get the family now?
Here it is.
Yeah.
Right there.
The other piece of it is that my mom's mother was from Margaret. Is from Margaret, she's still alive, and my mom's father was from Castle Rose. So that's the Castle Rose side of the links, right? So we own property in Castle Rose, so obviously I remember the days of we go in there and I had to pick grapefruits. And I was selling the grapefruits.
Seriously?
20 cents a grapefruit.
20 cents?
And it was about $20 a bag. And I always had $20 every week because I sold grapefruits.
So you were into business in
long time. Because I wanted money for that.
You wanted money?
Yeah. You want to have a little cash in your pocket. And so
you were given your portion to sell?
Yeah, I would pick the grapefruit, absolutely. And guess what? We have to carry it across the river because the river runs between the properties. And yeah, so that's the incident. So mommy always involved us within that farming and that agriculture. It was what it is. And my mom worked with DBMC. So again, she was part and parcel of that old banana industry. So a lot of people who I know today, older folks, knew me as a little boy at the DBMC. So it's a bit of a matrix.
Clearly.
You know, a bit of a matrix.
So we can understand how you've landed where you've landed for now.
Yeah. So that happened. In terms of tertiary, I went to Duncan Grammar School. Loved the place, lovely school.
Oh, by the way, can you speak Kokoi?
No.
No, you can't.
So I can't speak patois because obviously no patois in Margaret. And then the Kokoi piece where is anybody in Margaret? I think I never took it on.
Okay.
To be fair.
Okay.
Because everybody in the household speaks it, right? I never took it on.
You never paid attention.
I never paid attention. You would just figure in Margaret and you like me, right?
Yeah.
But I never
Weekend and summer.
Yeah. And to be honest, we never took it on. Never took it on.
So Kareem, you can't say anything in Kokoi?
I can't say anything in Kokoi. But I understand it, of course.
Carry on.
Carry on. And, you know, so I went to the underground school. Then I went on to, well, at the time, I guess we were hybrid, you know, because it was the first set of students who went up to the stock farm. Stock farm, well, what do we call it for that? It wasn't Dominica State College at the time. We were wearing a blue shirt. It was still CDC.
It was CDCC Community
correct,
College.
but at the stock farm campus.
Okay, alright.
So I call it a hybrid. Yeah. So we were the first set of students. Went up there, spent 2 years, did economics, pure maths, English. I always had a love for maths, and that's why I jumped into statistics and economics. And then post that, I taught at the Wesley High School for 4 years. So I taught mathematics, and today, when I walk the streets of Roseau, I hear cities still. So a number of young ladies still to be remember. That I taught them. I went in there for that. I left high school at 17. So it's quite a young, yeah. In fact, that entire year was a young year. We left, yeah. So by 18, I entered
into Wesley High School.
Yeah,
into the world of work.
Yeah, by 18.
Yes.
So you can imagine for that.
Oh my
18-year-old.
God, must have been difficult. Oh my goodness.
18-year-old.
Nice looking young man, handsome, you know.
And you're teaching. My first assignment was a fifth form class, so you can appreciate for that. You have young ladies who are maybe either at 15 or possibly some are 16, possibly some are 17. So I taught from first form to fifth form over my 4-year work at Wesley High School, and I really enjoyed it.
How were you able to manage that, the Kareem? And did you find situations where the young ladies probably?
Yeah, and obviously I think it's a matter of discipline, because there was one situation actually where I remember clearly, and I obviously I won't delve in it, but I had to defend myself with a senior education officer. It got that far, but I dealt with it. You know, it was fine. I managed myself well, and you know.
You were not fired.
I wasn't fired. But so you find these situations, but never ever got into
anything with any students.
No.
And any teacher-student relationship.
No, because again, you were a target, right? You're young. Hormones are running through the ladies as well as yourself, obviously. You know, but you need to understand the discipline. Over the period of time.
You get a job like that, Kareem. What does your mother or father say to you?
I remember we had a conversation about it.
You had a conversation?
I don't think we had a conversation.
You don't think you had a conversation about
it? I got the job. I said, well, Mom, I got a job at this high school, you know, teach mathematics. And that was it.
Well, there's a student of yours saying that you were a great teacher.
Yeah.
So this is good. So where did we move on from there, Kareem?
So I guess as much, once I got past that, 4 years on, 2005, I went off to Cameron University. Did 2 degrees, one in two bachelor degrees, one in accounting, one in
simultaneously.
Yeah, at the same time. Didn't come home for summers. Spent my full 3.5 years going to school. To be honest,
you did 2 bachelor's degrees in 3.5 years.
Yeah, and started the masters. I only came home, I think, one Christmas.
You're driven, Kareem.
Yeah, but the point is, I mean, honestly, I just wanted to finish it. I wanted to finish it because I had a set goal. I wanted to do some things by 30, I wanted to do some things by 40. Sorry.
Kind of about that.
And in order to do that, you obviously had to put yourself under some pressure. Good pressure. You know, you go through it, there were challenges, you go through it and you just punch through. And I'll give you a short story about getting into school on the student loan. Because first of all, I had to apply for a student, obviously. Wanted to go to school, saying, Mom, I need to go to school, we're going off to school, and I just went to the back. And I came back, I remember coming back and said, Dad, actually, I've gone through this process for the student loan, so you need to pay the interest.
That's how it
that was the conversation.
You just told your father he needs.
We went on through the application process, and he said, "Boy, Dad, there's a pre-approval, but the approval will come on the basis that you are going to pay the interest. You are going to allocate a percentage of your salary."
Currently, you're quite bold, eh?
So that happened, and 3.5 years later, walked out with my bachelor's of accounting, bachelor's of economics. I love economics with passion, to be honest. And then I had already started my master's. So once I came back to Dominica, I was going through the last 2 years or 3 years with the master's program, because it was a master's in global economics. There was a little bit more work to be carried out in it, and I finished my master's when I was just about to head to Excel. So
you did it online?
Yeah, so I completed the last few courses were online. Okay. I completed online because I wasn't intending to just be at school. My intention was to get the master's at a particular age and then be able to jump into the career, true career, positions.
Global economics, Kareem?
Yeah.
What about economics that fascinates you to the point that you go one step further into global economics? Explain to us.
I always had a passion towards understanding how economies work, and how I could have blended the math that I did and the statistics that I did, and the love for both of them. How could I have brought them into my career? And I think that is how I got involved. And when we did the first program in economics in my bachelor's, I said, okay, there's a master's program in economics. So I was kind of choosing what do I do my master's in. I was like, there's a master's program in global economics. So global economics is developmental economics, understanding how markets grow and develop, and how do you use the banking system in essence to help an economy grow. So that's what I did, and that's what the overall thesis was. And I use obviously small island states to generate that conversation. So I always have a passion in understanding what makes our small economies tick, and that was an opportunity to understand it from a global perspective, because there's no way you are an economy that exists on its own. You're existing within a framework, and obviously the small islands, as vulnerable as they are, play a critical part in our small island states, CARICOM, and then the global space. So that is what I did, and that's what I focused on in my master's.
Can I conclude from that, seeing that you were focusing on, thinking a lot in terms of your decisions, small island states and all of that. Yeah. Can I conclude that you had the intention of returning back to Dominica or within the region to
Yeah, so I have a joke, and I hope Stephen Land is listening. I'll call his name. Stephen and I had a conversation. Stephen also went to Cameron, by the way. So we have been great friends over a long time. And you know Stephen?
Yes,
he's now the bank manager at
First Caribbean.
And I remember we had a conversation where Stephen said, "But Kareem, what kind of salary are you looking for when you come back now?" I said, "Well, Stephen, about 3-5 will be fine." At the time, right?
Did you?
So I said about 3-5 will be fine with Stephen. And I did my calculations, you pay student loans, you're at your parents' house, blah, blah, blah. So in 10 years' time, well, I would say 10 years, 5 years down the road, and you still, I'm not taking anything less than X. So Stephen always gives that story. He said, "Boy, I remember you were having barbecuing." And we were just throwing out numbers. Young guys at university having fun, right?
I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised that came from me.
Yeah.
that
figure was So, and we laughed about them. We always laugh about it. Every time we bring up salaries, like, "Boy, can you remember that nonsense number you called?" But the reality is, it brings back good memories of the people who you met along the way, and as such, I had an intention to return to Dominica. In fact, I came back 2 days after I graduated. I was back here, and I'll tell you why. So at the time, I'm going to call another friend of mine. So at the time, Robbie Tong would have started or just started to expand the Fast Cash. He had gone into Fast Cash Caribbean, where he had a few countries attached now to the brand. And Robbie said, "Kareem, I'd like you to come work for me," because I'd done an internship with them on one Christmas vacation in the accounting department. And Robbie said, "Kareem, what are you doing after school?" I said, "Well, I have a plan, but if you have a job, I'll jump in." And he said, "Come work for me." When he come work for me. So my first job was a Fast Cash, short-lived. I only spent about 9 months to a year.
Okay.
I was the head of accounts there in that Fast Cash. Then I saw an opportunity with the IRC. Yes, so the Independent Regulatory Commission.
Energy.
That's correct. So that's how I got into energy. And I served there there were 3 roles available, I applied for all 3 roles. And I was picked for all 3 roles. So I was asked to choose one of the roles that I would like, and I chose the financial analyst role.
Okay. Why?
At IRC. Because it was down my alley, and it was in energy regulation where it allowed and required analysis of the utilities, the cost of utilities, efficiency, production, and being able to assist the regulator in making informed decisions. So that's, again, hence the analysis piece, right? And then post that Ferdina again, I spent just about 2.5 years with the IRC, and a role opened up at the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunication Regulatory Authority.
You're moving out now.
So I saw the opportunity. The role was for financial analyst. I said, I'm going to apply. And I have this friend, Russell Wilson, very close friend. Over time, we always said, where's the next job? Where's the next job? And we apply and apply. So where was I going to jump in into the ring? We always say we're going to jump into the ring. You know, if you're out in, if it's picked, then great. If not, etc. And I jumped in. And I was called up for an interview in St. Lucia. And I didn't
so you had to go physically to
Yes, I was. Yeah. So I stood up, got the interview, and once I got an email saying that well, Kareem, you were successful.
An email, not a call.
So well, the email came first, and then I got a call.
Okay.
I got an official call, and then when do you want to start? And I don't know if you remember when it was a Hurricane Thomas, or is it tropical storm? Was it a tropical storm or hurricane? It had affected Dominica as well. Remember when we had the Creole Festival one year? We had this tropical storm that nearly ravished the stage. So I had to travel out of Dominica that very weekend to head off to St. Lucia to work. And obviously it was delayed due to, and the St. got hit seriously by, so when I got into St. Lucia, it was actually in the throes of
so you were delayed a bit.
That's correct. And when I got to St. Lucia, people were still trying to get themselves back together from Thomas. And as such, I started my gig with Excel as a national analyst.
What did you do as?
Same thing, but for telecoms. So my job actually entailed, again, analysis, writing papers, researching on telecommunication models, towards ensuring that there was an enhanced regulatory space, that customers were treated fairly, customers were given the best product and service for the money that they spend, and telecommunication providers obviously had a fair opportunity to recoup their profitability and to continue a business operation. So a lot of my work had to do with a lot of research, a lot of writing papers to the Excel is a creature of law, and there is the board who's chosen by the communication ministers of each island, and Excel represents 5 islands. St. Lucia, St. Kitts, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada. At the time, Antigua was just an honorary member, which kind of figure out, do I want to be a part of this, to kind of kick off a regulator. So a lot of the work, so I got the opportunity to meet with a lot of the ministers across the islands. We would travel for board meetings, I think every quarter, with my boss at the time, Sharon Hector, who is still, I think, she is still senior economist at Excel. And great time, great run.
And who was the head of Excel?
At the time, it was Ember Charles. Ember Charles, our former president, also served as head of Excel. So Williams also served there, and so great organization, and a great time for Ferdina at Excel. So I spent 3 years at Excel, and then Kim and Wireless, of course. Kim, I think I met Jeffrey on one of my visits, Easter visits, I think, from work in St. Lucia. And Jeffrey said, we had a conversation. I think I met him from Steve and had a conversation. He said, Kareem boy, it might be a good opportunity. There's opportunity opening, would you like to consider it, etc. You go through the process as usual, etc. And so we went through the process and everything else, and bam, and then
Kareem gets the job.
I get to Kiblan Wireless as at the time for then the role would have been head of marketing
and
communications and the B2B.
B2B.
The overall B2B
Yes,
space, right?
yes.
What we call corporate sales
Yes.
at the time.
So at the time you would have been responsible for quite a few people. At
Yes.
least about 12
Yeah.
also members
Yeah.
of staff, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was, you had quite a huge team. You had
Then
myself and Liz
Liz,
for the marketing
that's
and comms.
correct.
Well, me comms.
You comes, Liz, marketing, correct.
And then there
The
were
team.
yes,
The
there
corporate
was,
team.
Yes.
So the Yorks, the
Yes,
Brothers,
yes,
etc.
yes.
Great people.
Yes.
And 6 years on Cape Wireless,
Yes.
right? So I spent what? I spent about 2.5 years local.
This thing was all that time?
It's about 2.5, yeah. When I close up the shop, it's a spot on the scene. I did about 2.5 years, or was it 3 locally? Then there was another opportunity
Came into the
region to be head of marketing for the B2B space. Again, was successful, jumped in, and obviously that took me out of Dominica weekly, right? For then, flight on a Monday, flight on a Friday.
Yes,
on a Monday,
correct.
right? For about 2 years.
For quite some time.
Quite some time.
Yes.
But then, Kareem, you're here? No, sorry,
Yes.
just bought it.
Yeah.
Coming back in. But it was a great run again, and I've made so many friends and colleagues over that period of time, and that's why I met you for that. And to this day, we have remained friends.
Very, very good friends.
And then I kind of wanted to just, and then quickly for that, the project ended with Cape Wireless, decided to move on, and I spent a few months out in Canada, kind of making a decision as to
where do I go
next? Like, do I come back? Do we just call it off? Decide Canada is going to be home, and then an opportunity opened up with Digital Dominica to be the head of commercial operations. And fast forward for Diana, I'm sitting in the studios of Q95 speaking on In the Spotlight.
Yes.
Because I jumped off from that boat.
Yes.
And decided to do entrepreneurship.
Before we get into that though, Kareem, I just want to just tease you a little bit.
That's fine.
So so you've worked with the 2 telecommunications companies.
Yes.
Cable and wireless, and we had a very good working relationship.
Yeah.
I think I might have been one of those who probably didn't quite understand at the beginning
you didn't understand
your way of operating
I
and
know.
Kareem. And so we had just a little tussle at the beginning. But Kareem and I became such amazing co-workers. I respected him as my boss at the time, but yet still we had a wonderful friendship, both in the office and socially.
Correct.
And Kareem is somebody that I really grew to admire. Kareem was not hesitant to teach, to share information, and I think he was one of the best people I worked with, along with James Dominic, of course.
You can't forget James.
No, definitely can't forget James, and I've always mentioned James, always. So we did have this really good relationship, and I know over time the same came with other members of the team and so on. I think the thing with Kareem is very direct, and Kareem says what he wants done, get it done, and we're good. No issues there.
Yes, let's just
right? And you also, I don't know what your time was like at Digicel. The only thing I know that happened when Kareem went to Digicel is that for some reason our friendship kind of just a little,
A little strain.
Yes.
You know, with a different brand.
Yes. Because what do we talk about?
What do we talk about?
But we've always remained very good friends. So Kareem, the two companies, how different were the 2 experiences, if you do not mind sharing?
No, it's fine.
It?
I think so. Cape was obviously more corporate structure at the time. It's an older company, built on that corporate structure. Obviously, older staff, right? More tenured, if you may, right? Longer tenured staff, and I think with Digicel, you had it was one obviously younger company, and you had younger staff, right? So I think it was about adapting to, as a young leader at Cape Wireless, it was a bit more difficult adapting to that corporate structure, rigid, older model, and longer tenured staff, who had their own ways of doing things, and obviously you're bringing in this new thought, new trend, and you obviously have to work a little bit hard in getting and reaching that synergy. With Digicel, obviously it was a younger team, as I mentioned, and you had the ability to mold So I enjoyed it. I remember saying that to you that I enjoyed Digicel because I got the opportunity to mold a team, a very good team, a young team, dynamic, who always showed a thirst to them. And I think if anybody were to ask me about the difference, I think that is what I'd call out. So great corporate legacy of Cape and Wireless, great structure. And with Digicel there was a lot of fun because you were molding a young team, and there was a hunger to learn more. And I fit in nicely in terms of the age difference, which was smaller. And then Cape and Wireless is a little bit more work, which also made it a very fun moment, right? So I think if you were to, but in terms of the point is, both companies are hungry for the wins.
Yes, indeed.
And when I worked with Cape and Wireless, I was hungry for the win.
You were very, oh my goodness.
When I worked with Digicel, I would call as if I died. I will not get this customer because we're going to beat you at it, right?
Well, there's one that you've been trying so hard to get, and you'll never get it. Well, you're not there anymore.
Exactly.
Oh, Kareem, it's just, you see what's happening here. We're talking here like as, it's just, it's 8:59 per.
Yes,
we spent an hour talking. Before we move on to the other element, I just want to find out from you, Kareem, what do you enjoy doing outside of, your professional life? Now you're into the agriculture and the farming. What is it? I know one thing about you. When you're out, you have a good time.
I have a good time. I was about to tell you, I love having a good time.
You have a good time.
As I said to you earlier, I have a small circle of friends, or a small intimate circle of friends. But I know a lot of people. But you have a group of friends that you hook up with. So I'm very close friends with Kevin.
Yes.
Francis, who now has the
heritage.
Yes. I mentioned Stephen Russell, Shagan James, Carlos Charles, Dorothy and I, very good friends.
Yes.
Of course,
I see somebody giving him a little hard time.
Daryl, but Daryl and I went way back to boys' school, way back, and we are Methodists together. Okay. So obviously over time, great friends. So kind of nice circle of friends. So these are the guys who I hang out with, and I spend time with, and
drinking Guinness by Robo.
Thank you very much. And right across on the street of Kiwa is obviously there's Robo's bar, where I spend quite a bit of time. Late nights at the office that I remember. I said, can you just grab one? It's a stressful day.
You are a very hard worker, Kareem. You stayed. I think most times we would leave you in the office, and you would be there working.
Because you have stuff to finish, and then when you look over and say, boy, you come in, Robo's over, let's grab your So you create those synergies across the space, and
I think you were also a good friend with my priest friend, Father Peter Hill. You went to
Peter and I, right? So Peter and I have our own history. We played tennis together in the 80s, and over time again became. And Peter was the one who officiated at my wedding.
Yes.
So again, great friends. I remember, and I'll throw that joke on Peter. The night before the wedding, we sat at the Robles.
Oh my God.
No, Peter, I won't go further.
That's all you say.
Again, with the group of friends who have called and Russ, the Russells and the team. But great. I love hanging out.
Yes.
And I have as much as equally male friends as I have female friends. And when you see me hang out, you kind of see the crew around, and we have fun. We have fun, and just nice, clean fun, open conversations, drinks, and that's what I love doing. I love hiking, by the way. So in the mornings, after I get up very early and I do my trek. That's part of fitness. That's part of my vibe. I love traveling, but there's no more traveling. For now. And of course the carnival. So I've done carnivals across the Caribbean.
That is something I know you love to do.
Yes, love to just go to the islands and have fun and come back. But if someone were to ask me, what is that real core pastime, I would say hanging out with friends and spending quality time with the people who are influential in your life.
Yeah. People who matter to you.
People who matter. Yeah.
Yes. And you married?
I am. So I have a great wife, loving wife, who lives in Canada.
Oh boy.
Hopefully I'll see her soon. Hopefully COVID will allow to meet her.
Yes.
But this is the sacrifice of two young professionals who are thirsty for growth, right?
No children as yet?
No children as yet. I think we're both under pressure. We're both under pressure. But let's see how that turns out.
Yes.
Again, COVID.
Yes.
That's one.
Everything on COVID.
Yeah, so great support from Bernadette. Great support from Bernadette, and you know, when I decided to jump off from corporate, Bernadette said, "Well, Kareem, I've done a long time ago." Simply because she has been with me through the thick and thin of corporate, and I've seen that journey, and I've seen the lowest points of that corporate journey and the highest points. And I think when she full support, she said, "Well, Kareem, you know, let's do it." And I just jumped off one day. I said, "Well, I'm no longer did you sell it?"
And that's it.
And she said, "Okay, cool."
Okay, cool.
So
here's a glass of juice.
yeah. So what are we doing? I said we're going into Atlantic Farms, bigger and better.
That's it. And we're going to talk about that in just a while before we take a break.
Yes.
But somebody mentioned their running child. We didn't talk much
yes,
about
oh my God, right, yeah.
And your mom.
And my mom. So we can, yeah. So yeah.
And a little about your siblings, and then we move on.
So so let's talk about the parents. Obviously, as I said, mom is from Margaret, dad is from Virginia and Roseau. I've been married for so I'm 38. So they got married when I was 2. I think they were married up till I was about 22. So my parents are separated, but still fully devoted into my life and my siblings. Yeah. So great parentage right through, and full support always. So mommy actually is my partner in the business, like fully a director, a partner.
Alright.
Yeah, decision making partner in the business. So mommy and I do the crunching right through. Daddy is the supporting cast. You know, daddy's retired, mommy retired from their active duties.
And mommy did what?
Mommy worked with the BMC, and daddy worked with the
Ministry.
with the public service. First with customs, then moved to the Ministry of Trade, and daddy served until he retired, and he's now enjoying retirement. So if and when I need him on the phone, I'll call him and say, I need somebody to carry blocks.
Daddy better
let's be available. No, he enjoys it. I say, let's be available. And sometimes I think I move so quickly that by the time he calls, I'm gone, right? And I have 3 siblings. So I have a brother, Shane Guiste, who worked at the customs and excise. He's now right. So Shane is now in New York with his family. Yes. And I have 2 sisters, Kayla, who is the youngest, and Kimon, who is the eldest. So I'm smack in the middle between these 2 brilliant, beautiful ladies. Both live in Canada with their families, and you know, hence of why we are all kind of synced to Canada. All right. So, as I said, we lived a very private, loving life. You know. So a lot of people do not know my siblings just because I guess as much we were always on our own back. You know, Kayla and I are closest because Kimon left when I was younger. Kimon left for Canada when I was possibly 15, but I was with Kayla up until I went to school, came back, and then Kayla left.
Okay.
Then went off to school and made a life in Canada. So that's it. The kind of a small knit family, and I'm very close. You know, we have an extended family. Our family chat there for a few people, only about 16, but we are very close family. Yeah, grown from Margaret for me, and everybody branched out across the Caribbean and the US and England and Canada, etc. But a very close family unit. And you know, as I said, you will sometimes say, "Well, I didn't hear you talk a lot about your family," but it's more of just a private family, you know. But things are going well and everyone is happy.
And you visit ever so often.
That's correct.
All right. What is this? Oh my goodness. We are here with Kareem Guiste, and you know, quite an interesting conversation that we've had to this end. And we've not yet delved into part of the reason why we're here, because we really just wanted to know a bit more about the individual. But I had to find a little something to play for Kareem, you know, as we take the break. Someone writes, "Hi there, I'm very proud of Kareem and what he has become. Hearing all of this about him and his life, the sky is the limit for him. A good role model for Dominica's young adults, more specifically." Someone says, "Tell him after me for the simple fact that I'm older. Midnight Groovers, Co and Chubby are my icons. Great going." That's me. Puya Coco.
You know what I remember? You know what I remember that I Curl in the Park. I think it would have been 2015. And I think it was my second career in the park. Brother Midnight Groovers, you and I had fun.
Yes, man.
When we were finished, we were drenched.
I'm telling you.
and secondly, we also danced with Midnight Groovers at the World Crowd Music Festival.
Yes, we did.
When they had a massive performance.
Oh my goodness,
so I really remember those times.
Listen, while you were there at Kim Wireless, we had some good times, especially with those.
Yes, correct.
Somebody says, your good friend, a female, I do not need to call her name.
Right.
She says, Fam Go Tete.
Yes. So I know who's that, right? and I won't put Kellen on the spotlight. My Guinness buddy.
The other question for you is that one of the fans here is wondering if you can actually sing the words.
I actually mumble.
Oh my goodness, 9:10 is the time in the studios. This is In the Spotlight with Kareem Guiste. We've learned so much about Kareem so far on the program, where he grew up, his family, his roots, his education, the places he's worked. He seems to have spent quite a bit of time within the telecommunications sector and the energy sector as well. And he has made his contribution. He has also made a decision before we went to the break, he mentioned that decision he made, sharing of course with his wife to move into entrepreneurship, specifically agriculture. Yeah. Kareem, why was that decision made? And how?
For then the thing is how can I kick this off? So as part of trying to develop property in Margaret, Mom and I started with a few birds for eggs and for chicken, for meat, right? We started with 25 birds back in 20, and I'm trying to go back in the years here, back in 2010, just there. But then you have, backyard farming as you call it, right? And over the years to that, it was always a quest of mine to expand the business over time. Numbers, I'm a numbers guy, so I am particularly always interested in understanding how can we always grow that business. And Bernard has a rolling joke on me. He's like, Kareem, we have to expand this business so long, I'm still waiting for my stipend. so obviously I've said to her recently, I said, well, there's a huge check in your account, I hope you use it wisely. But the point is, once the base was set, and I felt there was an opportunity to grow the business throughout my years in Cable Wireless, and then moving on to digital. But something happened when we were just at the cusp of kind of expanding bigger, Maria, and we lost. At that time, we had a laying stock of about 2,000 was laying stock, and we had a broiler stock of about 5. And obviously, in the ravages of Maria, we lost 90%, 95% of the entire stock, and that put us right back to zero. So obviously, I guess I did not show any emotions.
Wow.
Because outside of my mom, always kind of being sad and crying for these, because it's recognized everything has gone down the drain, and it's a lot of money for that. I mean, it's not when you're growing a business as a young person and having to finance it through debt, with little equity, and if just a little business, obviously you're financing through debt through bank loans and legal equity coming from other finances, and you're using your hard-earned cash, and you make a decision to sacrifice and build a business. You're going to end up in having challenges, and obviously post Maria, like every other company gun, you obviously woke up in the mornings every day and just thinking, okay, how are we going to get through this? How are we going to get through? Just going through the ropes, and obviously, I just focus heavily on just growing back big. At that time, we were the only, or at least only recognizable farm during post Maria, selling eggs. And we provided a large quantity, because the wireless, a large percent of the stock perished in the storm, we had enough to supply. And I remember when I would come to work in the morning, so then I'd go to market in the night, get the eggs, and be back. Obviously,
you hustled.
Yeah, at work to get back the network at the time for Diner to what it would have been, right? And we had that we had about a 2-month, 3-month span in grinding for that. So obviously determination, I said no, the business is not gonna die. And through the sales of the eggs, and I'll be honest, we made a lot of money throughout that period because again, as the only egg supply at the time, the volumes were high, and as such, we were able to make back enough money to put, because we lost all rows on our pens, and significant damage, and we just grinded through and got back. First order of business was, okay, we need to get the roof on. We got the roof on. Next order of business, get the goods back in, and immediately there was a opportunity to talk to Gale's farms, whom at the time I would have been conducting business with. They are the ones who provide chicks to Dominica. And I just jumped to them and I said, is there an opportunity to get a charge account from you to rebuild? And they said they were on a mission to visit Dominica to give an overall country support. And our farm was one of the farms that they visited, and they were happy with the structures, because at that time we would have had 2 structures at the time, and by the time they got to Dominica, we had already covered the roof back with the materials that were available. I said, Mom, let's just cover the roof and get back into business. Let's just get back in. And they came in and they granted us a charge account based on what they had seen. They were happy with it, and we came back on track, if you may, kind of getting things back on the movement. At the time, we had just purchased, prior to Maria, just purchased a container of feed to grow the business. The good thing is that was great, because we had feed right through that tough time during Maria.
So where was the feed? In a
container. Yeah,
okay,
so nothing happened. We just had a little bit of water damage and stuff like that, but it helped us through that, that kind of a tough time post Maria. And then for that, obviously, trying to juggle corporate with the business, and the effort the business required obviously was a lot. The weekends were not sufficient, and over time, as I grow older, I'll be being below 40, as you see, the old 30s. I just think, boy, can I continue doing this? And obviously, COVID, we kind of again, let's just fast track to pre-COVID. I'd already kind of had a conversation to say this, that boy, I need to move. I need to get. The plan was for me to move to Ghana, to be honest, by the end of 2020.
Yes, I knew that. I knew of that plan.
Yes, and Blair gave her commands. Kareem, we need to be in Canada by the end of 2020.
Oh my goodness.
Let's make a decision. What's the plan? I said, okay, I'm giving the corporate one last run, which is the digital run, and I'd already communicated that my last run would have been up until first of all, it was kind of April, and then I said, okay, let's just do the financial year. Because now you know me, I figured I can't end the ball game during the game. I mean, let us go through and close this up nicely. And the COVID-19 on our doorsteps, and it brought some challenges within the corporate space, and it provided an opportunity for an accelerated exit, and that was it. It was.
But the accelerated exit was not exactly to move to Canada yet, but accelerated exit into.
That's correct. So once the opportunity, once that came on, I was like, well, boy, it's business mode immediately, right? So we went definitely once I took the opportunity to get out of corporate. The next day, to be honest, I was in Marga making plans for increased structure space, this, that, more building, rather than getting contracts signed and everything else. And immediately went into entrepreneurship mode. Still battling with the old debts of the business, obviously, because banks are calling you for their money. And the point is, you have to be gutsy in business. I don't know that as a business, as a successful business person, or the successful business people, I don't know that they are. They have a profile of someone who's calm and not one who thinks quickly on their feet. You have to move very quickly, agile. I always say you need to be agile, you need to move quickly. Because the point is, if you do not make that decision today, tomorrow you're lost. Yeah. If you don't walk into the business place today and say, "Boy, can I offer you a contract?" Tomorrow someone is there. And what it did, it literally just gave me that drive. I had a number in my mind in revenue what I wanted to make at the end of the year in December for Ferdina. Once I left the business, I said, I need to make that dollar value. And I just kind of did my own math and said, okay, this is what I need to have in stock every 8 weeks, and this is what I need to sell, and this is how I need to sell it. And I literally just jumped in and said, hey, Gwyneth, this is what's going to happen. This is how we are going to run this business. I said, well, this is what my mom spent 9 months in Canada due to COVID. So obviously,
so you were here doing this
alone.
Oh
yeah. It's fine. You know, mom went to talk in Canada. Obviously, enjoyed all the time with the kids. And as well, I would not been able to travel to Canada since last year. So I haven't seen her since, and I hadn't seen mom until when she came in. So you know, as I say, our marriage relationship has been virtual.
That must be putting a strain on you.
Well, you know, the thing is when you're a mature young individual, so you understand what your journey is and you go through it. And to be honest, we have a very good relationship. Nice, friendly people who enjoy what they do and enjoy the journey.
That's important.
That's very important. And then so the full support was there for the business. Full support from Gwyneth, and full support from Dad, and full support from Kayla and Kim and the entire friend circles. So everybody's happy about, boy, jump in, let's move forward. And you know, again, I'll go back to Russell, because when we were just at our careers, we said by 40 we want to be in short pants, slippers, and t-shirts. And you know what that signifies?
Yeah,
that you're always on vacation, right? So the other day I said, Kevin, well, you're still in long sleeves, but I do t-shirts and jeans now.
So Kareem, the business that we're referencing here, what is the business?
Yeah, so what we provide is a fresh local chicken as a main core of the business. So it's Atlantic Farms. We provide fresh local chicken to supermarkets in Dominica at a wholesale level. And that, as I said, that is the real crux of the business. We also sell vegetables to some of these supermarkets in wholesale again, a host of vegetables. And I'm still developing that piece of the business, but my focus on growth at this point is on the fresh chicken. The fresh chicken in Dominica is still a premium product. It is still a sought after product. In fact, I would consider it's still in infancy stages, and there's a great opportunity to grow within that industry. And for that, I'm being honest with you, I'm just grabbing the bull by the horn and flying through because I'm using all the skills that I've won over the period of the years and just literally pushing every single ounce of strategy and campaigns through the market.
How does that come into play though, Kareem, in terms of your business, what you've learned and you know, moving into this area of entrepreneurship?
And remember when we started, we spoke about theoretical and practical. And you know, in Dominica, you need to be able to have the theory, but appreciate the practical, because they are two different things. Simply because you have an economy which is a smaller, it's more dependent on a smaller number of people, right? If you get me right, you have a small economy, and the clock of that economy is dependent on a smaller number of people, which means there's a lot of strain. So it means several things. There's less spending power than other more mature markets. The spending power is more fragile, because anytime, even if there's spending power, that spending power can stop. I have no more to spend, so the budget line is lower, right? And simply put, the amount of money and free cash flow in the pockets of people are smaller. And that's, again, you have the inherent factors that exist because you're a small island state. So, you know, we won't have a debate as to what are the other factors affecting the overall economy. And we can talk about Maria, we can talk about Erica, we can talk about COVID, and the list goes on. And because of the small economies, you have that exposure of a small island. And with every disaster, you have to literally flip the script and start over. So you need to be able, as an entrepreneur, to look within these challenges and look within these opportunities and say, how can I fit? And where do I fit? What skills do I have? What skills do I need? and how do I marry the two to be able to justify the spend, because you are going to spend money. You already have a banking sector. I'm going to be quite direct and open. You already have a banking sector that's very, very risk-averse. Commercial banking sector, very risk-averse. I don't know that I don't want to blast my dear friend because he's the manager of one of the banks, but but just in general, I think in Dominica there's never an excitement to push money into entrepreneurship, because most of the entrepreneurial projects come from young persons or younger persons. The persons who have been very successful in business are older persons. You know the brands that exist across Dominica, and obviously over time they would have amassed enough capital and enough financial resources and enough confidence within the banking sector to allow them to continue to operate and continue as a going concern, as we say in accounting and business. When you have young persons who are trying to now get off from a block, you have to be gutsy. You have to make a decision as to, if I have $10,000 in my bank account or $20,000 in my bank account, I'm going to throw it at my business, because you would have made a decision that the business has an opportunity. You're not just throwing the money at the business because you feel, why I think I can sell 4 handkerchiefs. No, you think you could sell 10,000 handkerchiefs, and you have gone through that research, and you have felt that the market can bear 10,000 handkerchiefs. You're not going to sell. You're just going to go on and sell because you feel, I want to sell 4 handkerchiefs.
I want to make some money.
No, it has to be a sustainable and consistent operations. So for now, using the kind of what you have learned throughout your academic training, it really comes into play every day for me, every single day. And being able to practically maneuver through those challenges. And I don't want to make anybody think it's easy. It's not. It's not. Every day you wake up as an entrepreneur, and I'm sure it's not different for other persons who are thinking about becoming successful and wanting to bank that first million. You always say you want to bank the first 100,000. First of all, you want to bank the first 10,000. You want to bank the first 60,000, the 100, and then you move on, right? But the point is, there's an opportunity and possibly an ability to bank your first 100,000 because you really want to feel that yes, you are financially free, right? But to do that, there are supporting costs. The banking sector has to support you. The banking sector has to show confidence. And I don't know that this is the case today.
Can I throw in here, what about the government?
Yeah, so the government can assist as much as Ferdina. And a business is not going to only require $5,000, for it to be really successful in Dominica. You need to pump money into the business, because there are going to be at least 1 year, 2 years, 3 years where the business is still requiring capital investment, especially let's say it's an agro business, agro processing, which is, we see a lot of those in Dominica, very aspiring. To be efficient, you need to scale. To scale means you need to increase manufacturing plant, right? That physical machinery that's in your space. You need to increase that. In order to increase that, you need capital investment. You need money to physically buy a machine. And that is where the supporting cost comes in. Either through the bank, through debt, or either through equity, through shareholders who may want to, or I would say private equity, people who may want to contribute their cash, where they say, well, in as much as I'm going to take a risk to support your business, I would like a percentage of ownership.
Fair.
And that's fair. There are persons who may say, well, boy, because I really, really want to see you succeed, here's 20 grand. Hey, that might be a long shot, right? You grab it. Or if you do have family who is willing and able, you say, okay, here's 10 grand, collectively, because we want to see you grow. And then you have the government component. The government says, well, we are providing small business support through like what they did the other day with the aid bank, $15,000 facility, or you have the grant system with the World Bank support assistance program, where it may not be cash, but it is asset based, it is facility based, so you do get to offset costs. Or there are other programs where the government will say, well, we are providing 20 young people with $10,000 grants to do whatever it is. But the point is, it's never enough, and I don't know if it will ever be enough to support a full business venture. So,
but do you think more should be done, though, Kareem, in terms of the support to people like yourself?
Yeah.
You're a young man.
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you.
That's what I want.
Yeah, man. I've said openly that I think my view on what my view on how a solid support structure could be is that you select, if it's 10 or 20 young entrepreneurs who you really think could be successful if you provide financing. If you really think they could be, because you have to do the kind of a precedent analysis. If you really think they could be successful, I'm going to give you the money to become successful. And to be successful means you're going to run a very tight business. So I'm going to say, let's just run $100,000. I'm going to say 20 people and just give them $100,000. I'm going to give them $100,000 because I feel that they are more likely to succeed than fail. And in their processes of becoming successful, they're going to help me with my overall employment base. So they may take out the strain on, let's say you have 20 people, they're going to hire 20 people. You're going to take out the strain on that number of persons within the employment base. Then you get 20 people who are now trained in that specific business, modeling, processing, etc. So my answer, quick answer to your question is yes, a lot more can be done and should be done, and a lot more could. The processing of how it should be done, yes, must be given some more time and attention. And I've said it. I've said it openly. And I would be open to have continued conversations with the leadership to ensure across the institutions, to ensure that we focus more practically on helping these businesses that they're going to grow quickly. Not forgetting those who are at the baseline and want to grow now, but you need to have a successful story. And sometimes the talk shops don't work. Really and truly, you get into you say, well, there's a workshop today for this. Well, not interested. For me, not interested. But the young people who go, they really want to learn. But then here comes the roadblock. Well, actually, I need 50 grand to start the business, Then they have to go through that process of the application at the bank. And as I said, it is not knocking the banks. But I think a lot more risk should be taken. I was speaking to Kimo Asset Plans. By the way, Kimo and I always talk about business growth, right? Because, I think Platinum has done well from where it started. And Kimo and I have built a nice relationship. We talk. We are two direct speakers. We just speak. And Kimo buys my eggs. So off and on, he invites me to have coffee. He's like, "Everyone enjoy? Yeah, let's have an omelette at my place." So we talk. And then we were speaking about that. We said, boy, I really wish, boy, they select some just select, maybe not lottery system, select some young entrepreneurs and say, boy, we're going to just throw some money at them to give them the opportunity to push through that barrier. Because then, if you take me as an example, I have gone through and I've knocked doors and I've fought with banks. I'm fighting banks today.
Even today.
I'm fighting banks today. Yes. Simply because, sometimes you have to make tough decisions.
Yeah.
And the bank will say, "Well, Kareem, your loan is late." I said, yeah. But I have a business which I'm growing. And I don't think you are not on my list. You're just not my priority today. And it is not a disrespectful tone. It is just wanting the banking environment to understand that yes, you have given me leave, I want a little bit more. Because sometimes a little bit more will just put us onto the edge to grow. And I said, one day I'd love to walk into a bank and give you a check for that debt. And it'll be a check that will be as a result of successes of revenue from that business. And I said, I will write you a check one day sooner than later.
So you have those types of conversations?
I have those conversations every day, Ferdina. I have those conversations every day. I have those conversations every day, kid you not. And I feel good about the conversations because, one, none of the persons who work in the bank owns the money. It is the banking institution's financing. And they have the responsibility as I guess, persons who work in the bank to carry out their mandate. And I have a responsibility as an return to fight for the growth of my business. And I tell you sometimes you really see me every day smiling, but there's a lot on my mind 24/7.
Yes,
sometimes you will say hello to me and I'm dazed because I'm thinking about just what next do I do to push the business, give it the innovative spin, give it the leadership spin, because you need to always be ahead now. And I admire some businesses that exist in Dominica, some of the business leaders. Simply because they have the money to back them and they push and they just make it happen. And I think that is where my mind is. Once the money is there for that, you will see. I kid you not, if tomorrow a fund is open to allow a selective number of business people to jump in, young professionals, that is, young entrepreneurs, to jump in. I kid you not. you will see an innovative spin on new businesses that are not just existing but consistently growing and innovating. They are brilliant young minds in America. I have spoken to a lot of them, and they're just waiting for that capital. Not
that injection into
to just dump it.
Yes.
And we talk about Silicon Valley, and we talk about the Facebooks, we talk about the Googles, we talk about Instagram, we talk about TikTok.
Yes.
Can you imagine 1.5 billion in its first 6 months? And you ask yourself, where were you sitting in the class? Were you at the back or the front of the class? Well, actually, it didn't matter where you sat. You just didn't have the financial backing to drop. Because there are venture capitalists who support these things across the globe. And by no means I'm saying we are at that stage. But sometimes I would really desire that type of support for our entrepreneurship space in Dominica.
There is a young woman here who is into business as well, and she seems to be in agreement with you. She's saying not knocking the banks and institutions, but they exhaust people, especially young people, when they are trying to make a step. And she repeats what you basically said, they really need to take more risk.
Yeah, and
I hope somebody's listening.
No, and I hope, and for that, I've had these conversations with several of the banks. I mean, as I said, I don't know that I am without fault for trying. The other thing is that I think I don't know that there are enough individuals within these institutions who understand what these entrepreneurs want to do. Take, for example, in my case, it took me quite a while to get one institution to understand what the process of growing a bird is, what the timeline to market is, what the risks are, and how to mitigate those risks, the type of investment we need to make. I tell people, broiler chicken management is not a backyard thing. You're not raising 10 birds. And once you pass 1,000 birds, once you pass 500 birds, you have to spend. Because farm management alone is one component which requires a lot of money. Processing management needs a lot of money. And overall risk management requires a lot of money. So the idea when you tell somebody, boy, I want $100,000 to push into my business so that I can expand it for another solid 1 year, 2 year, and to become more efficient and to be in a good position for product building. So we look at you and say, well, $100,000, man. But you cannot blame some of the institutions, because some of the persons who are speaking to you do not understand the business of agriculture, or the business of broiler farming, or the business of like my dear friend Elias's awesome cocoa.
Yes. Brand new product. Or I'm helping my god sister to launch a new product, and I can see what the question she has to answer already, so I'm coaching her how the response is. Because she's new to business. She's new to business in the form of academic, she's new to business in the form of practical, and we have been having, it's almost like whilst you're building the plane, you're flying, and I'm coaching in new sessions. And I said, to be honest with you, nobody cares about this. The bank is not going to care because they don't understand. They're not good to understand. You need to show them what it is and what confidence is there that you're going to pay back the loan. I said, unfortunately, that's all they're interested in. They should be actually interested in the overall growth and success of the business, a wholesome approach. But they're only interested in seeing that interest payment hit the bank or your principal hit the bank, and it's sad. And I said, if that's the way we're going to grow an economy in this space, unfortunately for them, we'll be talking about this when I'm 50, in the next few years. Kareem, as you spoke about this young person that you're coaching, there may be quite a few young people trying to get into business, starting their own businesses and so on. What can you share with them as it pertains to ideas, as it pertains to the risks involved and that sort of thing?
So I think if you were to just do a quick kind of a step by step, I don't want to ever come across as someone who's an expert in anything that I do, because I learn every day. What I would say is, and I spoke about guts a few times, so if you're going to go into business, you need to have the guts for it, because you're going to wake up one morning and you're going to realize, holy shit, Ferdina, I've lost my stock through spoilage, through theft, you know, etc. Or I don't have enough stock to meet my demands. And to get that stock back, or to get that stock at the level that you need money. You need to get up and be able to walk into a bank and say you need money and fight and fight and fight. You may not have property to put up as collateral, you may not have a guarantee to put up as collateral, you may not. So the guts require you to go on every day. You need guts. Secondly, you need to have a solid plan. Like you really need to, and I don't know, it's not about throwing a business plan with 20 pages. You really just need to conceptualize that plan. How will I sell? How will I process? How will I produce? Who will I sell to? And how do I meet my payments? Whether it is wages for my staff, whether it is stock reimbursement, whether it is bank payments, whether it's my car, because you need to put fuel, because you have a truck, because you have a van, because you have a car. How? And you need to be able to answer these questions within 5 minutes. Because you say you want to run a business now. So running a business is not just, boy, I run a business and yeah, I made $20 today and tomorrow I make 13. If you're very serious about it, you conceptualize the plan and have these numbers down cold. And those numbers obviously would be hinged on solid research, right? Solid market research. Remember when we used to actually sit down and keep our eyes and really try to grind for the market to understand exactly who's going to buy from us? That is what you need to understand. What product is on the market? How much of a force of competition can I be? Or how much of a force of competition that product is to me? Because it could be a risk, you know, where I can't beat the product because obviously the price is just too low. Because they are producing 1 million across the globe and they're throwing a few cartons into Dominica, but you want to produce 2 cartons. Your price is going to be exorbitant, right? So that's the condition of scale. You get my point. And one situation of the local chicken in Dominica, obviously it is more expensive than the frozen. And it is more expensive than the frozen because we are battling against a larger market. So I don't cry about markets and, well, boy, the frozen chicken is $1.90 a pound and all these fancy things. No. You market your product. And I always say that fresh local chicken is a premium product.
Healthy, yeah.
If you want it on your plate, you need to pay for it. And unfortunately, everybody can afford it. But my hope is that one day we will get to a point where not just the producers are able to produce. You can't just produce to empty and thin air. You need to produce to a demand. So you hope one day that the health views of our consumers reach to a point where they will never demand more frozen than fresh. And when that happens, you'll have a very vibrant broader chicken market. So similarly to someone who just wants to make cocoa tea, like my friend Elias, if I could pick on him. We had a conversation last week.
He's getting some free marketing.
Well, I said that to him. That I wouldn't charge him.
On him.
So the point is that Elias, you know, great, add value, make it work. But you must convince that customer that Granny's cocoa tea is great, but what Elias has is better. And how do you do that? You need to have it. If you're not the marketing mind, you need to get a team to support your market. And you need to spend on that type of work. And it could be a situation you say, boy,
send Ferdina a few, let us sample. You know, let her come on Facebook and drink that cocoa tea.
You have to do it. It doesn't require some great mathematical equation. You know. It's like, let's send me a few sticks of
That's correct.
Have a few friends.
Yes.
And spread it to them.
Let's make some cocoa tea. Let's drink it. Let's talk about how good it is.
And let's push. And the point is, there are some innovative ways. So tap into the resources that you have around you.
Correct.
Alright, so that's 3. I've spoken about the risk, I've spoken about the market. And then you need to also understand the market, which I've been saying that, where am I in the market space? Where would I be in the next 6 months? 1 year. Give yourself timestamps. Find that every day, kid you not, I'm on a timestamp, you know. 1 month out, 2 months out, 3 months out, 4 months out. I'm thinking about Christmas now, because Christmas is here. So I am thinking about, right now, I'm in production for Christmas. And you need to ask yourself, what is that market time that I need to reach out to? So if you're not thinking along those lines, you don't want to be
It's a lot of thought.
So I'm saying all of this because it's a rigorous thought process. In addition to the risk element of losing your entire business because you cannot, 1, manage your operational costs. 2, you cannot meet the bank requirements because you're already under pressure. You're unable to meet the requirements because boy. And all you're saying, you want to wake up in the morning because you're only, oh boy. You need to have confidence. You spoke about that earlier today. And the confidence is not arrogance. The confidence is being able to walk into the institution and saying, boy, this is the plan that I have.
Yes.
This is what I intend to make over the next quarter. This is what I need. This is
how you
money.
can help me.
And this is how you can help me. And this is what I'm going to do to pay you back. Guess what? 2 words. Yes, we're going to consider it. No. Please come back with a different plan. You must have confidence.
You must have that.
I spoke about networking before. You need to have people around you who are encouraging you and are able to tap into other networks for you. Because then, believe it or not, when you're negotiating, when that door of negotiation is closed, you get somebody at the back there to say, boy, Kareem was trying to tap that door, can you help him out in the back end? So at least get to know what is someone. You need that. And that's the we spoke about earlier on, you see. So when we are speaking out of abstract here, the society has to get back to a collective unit and helping each other out. I do not know where and why we left that space. But if we do not get back here, our young people will want to turn on us, and right now a lot of them, quite frankly, they could get out of Dominica. From our perspective, boy, I would love to become successful. And somebody said, if you jump on that ship, you will be successful. I think a lot of them just jump on the ship. But if we get back into the kind of boy, let us embrace everyone. Let's have more of these camps. Let's have more of these conversations among us. And the young people themselves must embrace each other. So whilst I'm hitting the bank to say, boy, the bank is being very tight on us, you need to have confidence in yourself and show the level of maturity that one would look forward to in order to run a business. If you do not show maturity when you walk into a business to speak to the manager or to the head of, they say, well, I don't want to talk to you because gibberish is coming from you because you have not sat down and gotten the right support mechanism. So it's either you want to run a business seriously and become truly a successful entrepreneur, which is what truly success is, or you just really want to be a fly-by-night. And I guess no institution wants to support a fly-by-night. I won't support a fly-by-night. Get my drift. So, if you were to round up the conversation, I would say these 5 points. Of course, you were going to detail and kind of break it out. But it does require discipline. It does require a sense of confidence. It does require access to resources and friends, and it does require serious guts.
Serious guts. Kareem, you're giving me so much more than I bargained for tonight on the program. I must admit, and anyone who is listening to this program and are probably in some of the positions that you've spoken to during the course of the program, and they don't grab something from what you're saying, then I don't think that they're on course to get to where they need to get to. So in terms of your business, Kareem, as it is at the moment, are you getting to where you intended? So you said you had a plan.
Yeah.
This is where you want to be by the end of 2020.
Yeah.
Are you on course?
Yeah. The answer is yes, and
Good.
the answer is yes because there are mechanisms in place, save for unforeseen circumstances that may exist that we are not in control of. But the mechanism is there.
Okay.
And
it's working.
And it's working, and the mechanism is there because I have punched down doors and said, look what, let's get this going. And I dialogue with a good number of people to again pick brains, pick understand the market a bit more. How can we change the product? How can we enhance the product? How can we add value to the product? And more importantly, how can we make customers afford the product for them? This is not about affordability.
I need to be able to buy it.
Affordability is key. You want to provide a very good quality product that is affordable. Needless to say, our economy is one of premium taste, but not of premium pockets. And as such, you must be able to balance. There's something in economics called elasticity for that. And elasticity in economics speaks about the responsiveness of a consumer to a change in either demand, a change in their income, and a change in the overall economy. You see? So great, fantastic product, But Elias, unfortunately, I'm picking on Elias.
I see he just tagged me in something. I don't know why he's tagging me in here.
But what I'm teaching him, I said, when the customer says, boy, Elias actually changed the value of that product, boy, great. But that change did not effectively also give them a change into the purchase opportunity, because purchasing power parity is low. You get my point? And then you asked me the other day, you asked me earlier on why global economics, and that's exactly why. Yeah. You have to understand, you have to be willing to take a hit on the front end. You say, boy, what if I were to drop my price point for the first 5 months? Ease the customer into the change, ease the customer into the taste, ease the customer into the habit, and over time, you get a customer to enjoy and appreciate what you're selling for that extra 25 cents. So sometimes, you must understand the market in which you are. You have to operate within the market space. You can't be operating in the United States market when you are actually within a Dominica small island state with its own challenges. If you get my point. And I think for that, I don't think anyone is to be blamed individually. I think there's a collective need to embrace right now as an economy together. I think we need to play our part in trying to build that economy. And to build that economy means you want to enhance entrepreneurship, you want to enhance local purchasing, you want to enhance budget lines, you want to enhance purchasing parity, you want to enhance elasticity. And the only way to do that again for that I come back to you. So they saying, well, okay, I get it. We need to push our local producers to focus on packaging, because packaging is important. And if your packaging doesn't look good, unfortunately your product will stay on the shelf.
We must give you guys some credit for that too.
Well done.
It's awesome.
Well done.
Well done.
Points to you, my friend.
Yes, I expect my package tomorrow, guys.
But you get my point.
Yes.
So whilst again we go back to the original, you need to be serious about what you're doing. And don't say, well, because Dominican should buy it. No. Package it. The taste. So before I get to the taste, I have to open the package. And before I open the package, I need to see it on the shelf. And if you don't see it on the shelf, it means it did not captivate you. You have gone past it.
True.
You need money for this. And we come back to financing.
Financing and the
How do we help and nurture our entrepreneurs to become better at what they do? And they need financing for that.
In terms of your product, Kareem, your products available? Where are your products available?
Okay, so right now we work with two retailers, WeChurch and the Fresh Market. We're going to be soon on the shelves of Easter Trading. We're going to be soon on the shelves of Jolly's Pharmacy.
Good stuff.
And we are across the space in terms of retailers. Anybody who would like our products can catch us on Instagram, catch us on Facebook, catch me via WhatsApp, and we also have a website where you're able to place an order. It will hit our email and we will fulfill that order for you. So we do have customers who are returnees, and they simply just say, can you just,
like a subscription?
That's correct. Can you just apply this week? So what we want to do is really enhance the product. We introduce the voucher, the gift voucher. Gift of food, I call it.
That's right.
To customers. So you have the $50 or $100 voucher. You can simply just send us a WhatsApp message or a Facebook or Instagram. Say, boy, Kareem, I want to buy a $100 voucher for John, for Mary, etc. And I'll simply tell you, well, here is our mobile banking details. Here is our merchant details, because Atlantic Farms is not attached to merchant PIN on National Bank. So you can simply pay us and tell us exactly what you want. On our website, we have all the items that are available. You could actually shop, create a basket, send it to us, and we'll deliver it to that individual who you would like to gift.
And what better than to give somebody a gift of fresh chicken, fresh eggs, fresh vegetables.
And for that we say always fresh.
Always
that
fresh.
Is what we live by, stand by. And we have a dynamic team, who helps throughout the process, and we go every day. We go every day because then I do not want to ever pass at the shelves of the supermarkets and not see the product on the shelf. So I said sometimes you have to work miracles to get your raw materials, which are your chicks and your feed, on island, available in stock and you know, it's a bit of a matrix because there's a little bit of a process to understand the growth. So you miss the growth cycle, you might end up with chicks 1 day old only in your farm and nothing to by the next 8 weeks. You need to, again, it's a modern approach and understanding the business and understanding the phasing. So one might say, well, you left corporate to go into farming, but I'll tell you something. It's the business of agriculture. It is the business of broiler farming. And you know, the moment you do not start thinking about it as a business, you are failed. Because you're now not paying attention to the things that you need to pay attention to enable yourself to become successful. So I think paying attention to these details are critical and allow you to really nurture the elements of growing a business. And you need that. You know, a lot of our leaders have said it now. I think kudos to the government, they have said it. You need to start focusing on agriculture as a business. 1A plus. If you do not, this is not about, well, you're into farming and oh, farmers used to be dirty before and oh, and all these kind of, let's move on. It is a business of agriculture. And if we do not start thinking of the business of agriculture as it's supposed to be, then you're not going to have young people jumping into agriculture. As I say, make agriculture sexy again, if you get my drift, right? You have to get there. And you know, was it Jennifer Ferdina said, I look like a farmer, I don't know what I meant. But I tell people I'm in t-shirts and jeans most days. You know, and go ahead, Ferdina, you were going to ask a question.
I was just about to ask you, how hands-on are you in this whole process?
Well, you know, I was very hands-on. I was very hands-on before.
Do you get dirty?
Absolutely, Ferdina. Or if you see me on a Saturday, you want to come and hug me. Because if you understand the broiler chicken business, it's a nasty business. It's a nasty business. You're dealing with thousands of birds. You're dealing with thousands of bird shit. Yes. And you're downright and messy. Not nasty in terms that it is dirty and untidy. It's just that you're dealing with an animal. And for that reason, if you're going to understand the business, you have to be in that pen at some point. Watching the birds, watching the waterers, watching the feeders, watching the galvanize, because you're looking for things that may impact, you know, the successful growth of these animals. And as such, you have to get into hands-on dirty. What I've tried to do over the last few months again is being able to empower the people who work for us, and as such, you don't have to. So I remember when I told you that we introduced the camera system, which is again allowing you to be virtually managing your farm. So I look at the
surprised that you've done
I look at the water from my home in the mountains. I have some coffee and I say, okay, I'll go to the farm over 3 o'clock today.
Okay.
What I do on slaughtering days, which are most days now, I make sure I get there by 4, just so that I ensure the packing and the packing of the truck, etc. is spot on. But the confidence right now, based on training, I don't need to be on the farm at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, good stuff.
I go there because I want to. I don't go there because I need to.
Okay.
Because I've empowered the team to do what is necessary.
And that's so very important.
Very
so
important.
Very important.
Very, very important.
You didn't spend much time on the vegetables elements.
Yeah, and it's simply because we are still enhancing the product. Again, it's going to be I call it the supporting cast of the overall business. And right now, actually, I'll tell you, we're in the growth stage of a lot of vegetables in the growth stage. So we are at I would say we're at the seedling stage of replanting and getting involved in the greenhouse and all this kind of nice jazz. So that piece of the business is now into the investment mode, if you may, whilst we are expanding the chicken business.
Okay.
So, but definitely vegetables, I mean, we do have, but on the scale at which we do the chicken, definitely not. But it's a part of the business that we are growing now.
Kareem, the time is...
Can you believe it?
Yes, can you believe that at all? So you are here now with your broilers and, you know, into the beginning stages again of vegetables and all of that. What else is in store for Atlantic Farms? I'm not sure how much you want to share.
No, I mean, obviously, for that, I would like to see what chickens on the plate of customers across the Caribbean. I'll tell you that much. And I've done research. There is a need for it. What I would like to do is perfect the market here. And obviously get over the challenge of how can you ensure the quality of that product across the sea. Timeliness is important. Perishability, understanding that, and that's what I'm researching now. To be honest, we had spoken to at least 3 entities in 3 different islands who are interested in sampling. So right now we are thinking about how can we get that sample across the sea. Obviously, possibly via air is the best access, but how can we ensure that perishability of the item is perfect? So that research is going on now, and obviously it's requiring investment because you are testing out products and the type of environment that is required to keep that chicken chill for how many hours, and when it gets to that customer, you know, how
what state
that
is it going to be
so definitely that's in my mind.
Okay.
And it may be 6 months out, it might be a year out, but the conversation is ongoing as we speak, because I really would like to see Atlantic Farms mimic a Purdue. Maybe not at the volume of a Purdue, but the fact is, on every single supermarket shelf, there's a branded Atlantic Farm chicken tray available in various forms of breast, thighs, wings, drums, etc. And we're not far from that as it relates to Dominica. And our quest is to make sure that there is fresh chicken available on every Dominican plate. And if we can help to alleviate, you know, the challenges of health across our country in providing that type of fresh product, then that is what we intend to do.
Before we wrap up, Kareem, we didn't touch on the fact that you're still somewhat into corporate because you have a consultancy business.
Yes, so I also have FAB Consulting, which focuses heavily on business planning, business strategy, marketing, and economic analysis.
Your areas of familiarity.
That's correct. So I will never leave that ever. And I tell people the corporate space I've left is the corporate space looking for someone for now. But you know, I wanted to take a break for that and to spend time with Kareem. Spend time in building what I've invested in over these last 15, 16 years in contributing to these institutions. I wanted to spend time with Kareem to understand truly can we take that theoretical learning and take that academic and bring it into practical. So that one day when I stand in front of a group of young entrepreneurs, or when I stand in front of a board, or when I stand in front of a prime minister, I can say this is what I think we need to do because I've tested it, I've proven it, and this is what will work. So it's about taking time to learn, taking time to make my own money, which is very important for that. I have bills to pay, right?
Yes, correct.
Taking time to understand product development in a small island state, because I think I still want to do a PhD. You know, I have to negotiate that.
Yes.
And taking time to understand the challenges and how can you overcome it with that we approach. Because we're in a small island, we know every single body in the island. Let's say 80%. To me, that's every single person. You walk out there and somebody knows you, or they know Ferdina, or they know Kareem, or they know John, etc. And if we use that we approach, so stop blaming the institutions and stop blaming everybody else for errors. First, let's get back to basics. We. And if we get to the we back to basics, then I think we can do wonders amidst the challenges of COVID-19. We can get all of that together.
Kareem, so we have to wrap it up. I think this was an amazing 2 hours, just interacting with you, learning from you, getting knowledge on what experiences you've had thus far into this new venture that you've taken in terms of work life, entrepreneurship, and all of that good stuff. And as I said earlier on, I really do hope that if at least one person takes something from what you said tonight, that it will be beneficial to them. I'm going to give you the opportunity to give your final remarks as we wrap up.
Yeah, so Ferdina, it was a pleasure catching up.
Wait, pause.
Oh, okay.
Great interview, bro. Great questions and answers tonight. Keep up the great work. Very empowering. Which one of your sisters?
Kayla.
Yes.
Yes, my mini-me. Ferdina, I was saying great opportunity. Thank you for it. Great conversations with you. It was a combination of, remembrance of our past and the conversations we would have had in the office, right? For that, I've thought about it over the last month. I think I'm really going to set up a small symposium maybe a 1-day, 2-day session with a combination of other partners, if you will, to provide an access to young entrepreneurs who want to hear from us. Not a talk shop, not to talk to them, but talk with them about how we can assist in allowing them to also understand their journey and what are some of these challenges we can help them with along their journey. This is not telling them that we're going to make them successful. It's about telling them that we're going to help them on that journey to enable themselves to become more confident, to become more gutsy, and to be able to make that decision. If that's what you want, go for it. So for that, it was an absolute pleasure, and I had fun.
I did too. And I think they did as well. Mind blowing, Miss My Youth.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing 1 or 2 comments here. Very impressive, Kareem. And the comments have been along those lines throughout the course of the program. I've been trying to just peep through while I was, looking at you in the interview.
Yes, exactly.
Shifting. Well done, Kareem. I'm down for the symposium. You see already you have registrants right there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the program tonight. Thank you, Kareem Guiste, my friend for a while. We will continue to be friends. Indeed. We will be back here next week, Monday, for another program. Thank you to all those of you who tuned into the program via Q95 FM, whether you listened on 95.1 or using one of the online mediums. We thank you. Those of you who interacted and viewed via Facebook, we're so thankful and grateful for your support, your comments, your interactions, your feedback. Until next week, Monday, God willing, that's a wrap on the In the Spotlight radio show for tonight. Good night, everyone. We hope that those who may have missed the program for whatever reason will get to catch up on the Facebook Live, whether on my page, on the In the Spotlights, the ITS radio show fans group, or on the In the Spotlight radio show page itself. Great job, Kareem. Thanks, Ferdina, Frampton. Great show. Good stuff. Kareem, I suspect you have many messages to respond to when we're done here.
Yes,
thank you, Q95. As usual, showing is always here, ensuring that everything is okay for once I start and once I end. Thank you, Showing. Hello, Danielle. I see Danielle giving a thumbs up here. You had quite a few persons tuned in. Asif, good evening to you. Good night, everyone. Until next time.